Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rebecca, and on this channel I talk about all things related to yoga, and I have practices in here for you too. This video is for beginners who want to develop flexibility. I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say they can't come to class because they're not flexible enough. So if you feel like that, this video is for you. Okay, so we're going to make this a short practice that you can incorporate if you don't have a whole lot of time to spend on yoga. Okay, so let's come to the top of your mat. All right, make sure the insteps are parallel with each other. You can lift up your toes, spread them apart, place them back down on the mat, or if your toes don't actually do that, you can just kind of imagine they're doing that. Okay, draw the lower belly in, lower ribs in, spine is nice and tall, shoulder blades are kind of pulled back a little bit and down the spine. Bring the hands down next to your thighs. Now strengthen the legs. Okay, contract the pelvic floor and squeeze your legs towards each other. Grip the floor with your feet like you've got little suction cup feet. And on an inhale, reach your arms up overhead. Take your feet and toe heel them apart so they're a little bit wider than your hips. Grab your left wrist with your right hand. On an exhale, lean over to the right. Exhaling through the nose. Inhale back to center, switch the grip, and exhale over to the left. Come back to center. Exhale, hands down next to your sides. Toe heel your feet back so that they're underneath your hip joints, about hip distance apart, well, sort of. On an inhale, reach the arms up. This time give yourself a little bit of a back bend. Just open up the front of the body. You can interlace the fingers together. Index fingers point up. Thumbs press towards each other. And then on an exhale, bring your hands to your hips and hinge at the hips as you fold forward. Come into a flat back. Lift up your toes again. Okay, make sure the insteps are parallel to each other. Hands come down to the shins. Inhale, imagine you're pushing the sitting bones back and the crown of the head forward. Exhale, slide your hands down just a few inches. Okay, we're starting to feel a hamstring stretch here, but I want you to keep the low back flat. Inhale, lengthen again. Push the sitting bones back. See if you can tilt the pelvis forward. Kind of imagine pushing your lower belly towards the thighs. Crown of the head reaches forward again. On your next exhalation, slide your hands down just a little bit further. Again, inhale, lengthen. Exhale, tilt the pelvis forward. Slide the hands down a little bit further. Spine gets longer. Again, inhale, lengthen. Even if you lift up a little bit higher than when you started. And then exhale, slide the hands down just a couple of inches. Perfect. From here, bring your hands to the floor. And we'll step back to high push-up position. You can stay pronged up on your fingers and then come down to hands and knees. So the knees will be directly underneath the hips, hands underneath your shoulders. Okay, so we'll stretch out the wrists here, rocking from side to side a couple of times. Wrists get stiff just like everything else, especially if you spend a lot of time at a computer. Okay, and then we'll just flip one hand over and then the other. So the palm is facing up and the back of your hand is on the mat. Good, now flex the toes. bring your feet closer to each other and we'll sit back on the heels. Okay, if this is too much, just come up a little bit on the knees, but lean back as much as you can and kind of lean down just as much as you can to stretch out the toes. If you can sit on the toes, then just sit on the toe, or sit on the heels, sit on the heels. Okay, a couple of breaths here. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. And breathe out. Good. Come up to hands and knees. And we'll bring the right foot forward between your hands. Grab onto some blocks for support. Make sure the right knee is right underneath, or the right heel is right underneath the right knee. Okay, bring the blocks underneath your hands to support you wherever it's comfortable. And we'll sink the hips forward, so we're opening up the left hip in the front. Pull the shoulders back so the chest lifts. Gaze is slightly upward. Keep breathing in and out through the nose. We'll stay here for 3. Breathe in. Breathe out 1. Breathe in. Breathe out 2. Breathe in. Breathe out 3. Okay, now we'll straighten the right leg and flex the right toes. If this is hard to keep your toes flexed and your leg starts to roll out to the side, take a block, place it in front of that foot, and then clamp down on the block. Oh, that was my knee. Did you hear that crack? All right, so now I'm going to take the block and put it underneath my left hand. Right hand's going to go on my right leg. The left knee is right underneath the left hip. Okay, on an exhale, we'll lean forward. Keep the low back flat. Okay, and just go to wherever it's slightly uncomfortable, not too much. If you push too much, you'll trigger the stretch reflex in the muscles and your body fights back. So we'll just be gentle here. A few breaths. 3 breaths. Breathe in. Breathe out 1. Breathe in. Breathe out 2. Breathe in. Breathe out 3. Perfect. Keep your hand on the left hand on the block. You can bring the block a little bit lower if it's possible. And then we're going to rotate the torso so the right ribs are reaching back. Right hand can stay right on the right hip, and just turn your head and see if you can look over the side or up towards the ceiling. 3 breaths. Breathe in. Breathe out 1. Breathe in. Keep the right hip down. Breathe out 2. Don't let it pop up. Breathe in. Breathe out 3. Perfect. So we'll bend that right foot. Okay, bring the hands to the floor. And we'll step back into plank pose. We're going to hold plank pose for 5 breaths. Breathe in. Breathe out 1. Make sure you're engaging the core at the most. Breathe in. Breathe out 2. Keep the legs nice and strong. Breathe in. Breathe out 3. Breathe in. Breathe out 4. Breathe in. Breathe out 5. And we'll push back to down dog. Hips up and back. Adjust your feet and see if you can bring your heels closer to the mat. They don't have to touch, that's okay. And your knees can stay bent. Okay, maybe you can try straightening one leg at a time. Continue to breathe in and out through the nose. Okay, moving on to the left leg. Step your left foot forward between the hands. Right knee comes down to the floor. Bring the blocks under the hands. Torso lifts up, pull the shoulders back. And when you're ready, sink the hips forward. Keep that right foot flexed and the toes planted on the mat. 3 breaths. Breathe in. Breathe out 1. Breathe in. Breathe out 2. Breathe in. Breathe out 3. And we'll come up to the right knee, straighten the left leg, and place a block underneath the left foot if you have trouble keeping the toe flexed. And actually, it's just really great for stability. Okay, block is under the right hand. Left hand slides down the left shin. Keeping the low back flat. Make sure you're bending at the hip joint. 3 breaths. Breathe in. Breathe out 1. Breathe in. Breathe out 2. Breathe in. Breathe out 3. Okay. Lower the block if possible. Bring the right hand down to the block. And we'll bring the left hand to the left hip and rotate the torso, looking up towards the ceiling. Breathe in. Breathe out 1. Breathe in. Breathe out 2. Breathe in. Breathe out 3. Good. Release the pose. Move the blocks off to the side. And we'll step back to downward facing dog. 3 breaths. Breathe in. Breathe out 1. Breathe in. Breathe out 2. Breathe in. Breathe out 3. Good. Bring the knees down to the mat. And we'll bring the right foot out to the right side. Okay, you can turn and face the front if you want, or you can just stay facing the way you are. Okay, right hand goes down the right leg. Left arm reaches up to the ceiling. On an exhale, lean over to the right. 3 breaths. Breathe in. Breathe out 1. Breathe in. Breathe out 2. Breathe in. Breathe out 3. Inhale, come up. And we'll take a seat facing the front. Bend your left knee. Cross your right ankle over the left knee. Keep your hands behind you. You can deepen the pose to wherever it's slightly uncomfortable, not too much. 3 breaths here. Breathe in. Breathe out 1. Breathe in. Breathe out 2. Breathe in. Breathe out 3. Good. Straighten out your left leg. Draw the right knee in towards your chest. We'll take a twist here. Keep the left toes pointed straight up. Wrap your left arm around the front of the right knee. Right hand goes back behind you. 5 breaths. Breathe in. Breathe out 1. Breathe in. Breathe out 2. Breathe in. Breathe out 3. Breathe in. Breathe out 4. Breathe in. Breathe out 5. Facing the front, let the right knee open to the side. You can bend the knee here. That's okay. If the knee is bent, again, try to put the block underneath that foot and hold it in place. Okay, inhale, lengthen upward with the spine pushing down through your sitting bones. If you have a strap here, this is a nice opportunity to use a strap. I like to use the strap with the block, and it keeps the foot nice and squared up. Okay, lifting up and bending forward at the hips. Go just as far as you can before the back starts to round. Once the back starts to, unless your belly's on the thigh, the back needs to stay flat. 3 breaths here. Breathe in. Breathe out 1. Breathe in. Breathe out 2. Breathe in. Breathe out 3. Good. Inhale, come up. And we're going to switch to the other side. So we'll come up to the right knee. Left leg can come out to the side. Okay, left hand slides down the left thigh. Right arm reaches up to the ceiling. Right knee is right underneath the right hip. On an exhale, lean over towards the left for gate pose. Breathe in. Breathe out 1. Breathe in. Breathe out 2. Breathe in. Breathe out 3. Inhale, come up. And we'll bring the left foot in front. Take a seat. Bend your right knee and bring the left ankle to the right knee. Hands behind you. Okay, adjust yourself. 3 breaths. Breathe in. Breathe out 1. Breathe in. Breathe out 2. Breathe in. Breathe out 3. Extend the right leg forward. Place the left foot on the floor, left knee pointing up to the ceiling. Left hand behind the left sitting bone, and wrap the right arm around the front of the left knee. Take a twist, look over the left shoulder. 5 breaths. Breathe in. Breathe out 1. Breathe in. Breathe out 2. Breathe in. Breathe out 3. Breathe in. Breathe out 4. Breathe in. Breathe out 5. Looking forward, bring the left knee out to the side, left foot to the inside of the right thigh, flex your right toes. Option here to bend the right knee, use a strap or use a block under the foot, press that down, or you can use a block standing up with a strap, legs straight. Okay, lifting up through the spine, sitting bones pressing into the floor, hinging at the hip joint to fold forward. 3 breaths. Breathe in. Breathe out 1. Breathe in. Breathe out 2. Breathe in. Breathe out 3. Inhale, come up. And we'll spread the legs wide apart. Okay, if this is enough, you can bring your hands behind you. If it's hard to sit up straight and you feel like you're rounding in the low back, bring your hands behind you and just sit straight up. Okay, if this is enough, stay here. If you could bring the hands in front, bring the hands in front. Begin to walk the hands forward. Option to bring your forehead down to a block. Breathe in. Breathe out 1. Breathe in. Breathe out 2. Breathe in. Breathe out 3. Okay, inhale, come up. Peel your legs back together. Okay, and lie flat on your back. Coming into happy baby pose. So hug both knees in toward your chest first. Separate your feet and grab onto the outside edges of your feet or your big toes with your first 2 fingers. Whatever's more comfortable. Try to make your feet parallel to the ceiling and try to push your tailbone down into the floor. Just take a deep breath here. Inhale. And exhale, release. Coming into final relaxation. Okay, before we do that, bring the right foot out to the right side. Left foot crosses over. Arms reach up overhead. Grab your left wrist with your right hand and lean over to the right. Good. Come back to center. Bring the left foot over to the left corner of your mat. Right foot crosses over the left ankle. Switch your grip. Grab the right wrist with your left hand and lean over to the left. Center, 1 long stretch, and then release. Palms facing up. Tuck your shoulder blades back behind you. Let your hips relax and your feet flap open. And as you soften into the mat, keep your awareness on your breath. Your muscles relax, you can extend your arms and legs out just a little bit further. And then commit to stillness. Bend your knees, put your feet on the floor, and roll over to one side, and come up to sit. Find a comfortable seated position. You can bring the hips up on a block or a blanket. Eyes closed, hands resting on your knees. Bring your awareness to the center of your chest. Take 2 breaths with me. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. And breathe out. Awesome. Thank you so much for practicing yoga with me today. If you enjoyed the video, hit me a like down there. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more. Take care.